border, the state Ukroboronprom company and the American Aerocraft company start joint production of modern border security system. Please welcome Vasyl Servatyuk, first deputy head of the state border service of Ukraine, Ihor Pasternak, founder of Aerocraft, and Romanov, director general of Ukroboronprom. Please welcome. Good afternoon. I'm the first deputy chair of the State Border Service of Ukraine, Vasyl Servatyuk. After the annexation of the Crimea and Russian Federation's aggression in the eastern regions of Ukraine, namely in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, it happened so that as of today, the protection of maritime borders of Ukraine in the Azov area, in the Azov Sea area, is carried out by the State Border Service of Ukraine. Having studied the situation and related threats, we cannot but repeat our previous remarks that mechanisms and tools for reconnaissance and surveillance in the equatory of the Azov Sea are far from sufficient, and as of today, the State Border Services, they comprise 7 surveillance posts armed with really mothballed equipment. In terms of their readiness and efficiency, it is about radio location stations designed and produced already in the times of the Soviet Union, Nayada, Goloturia, and modernized, upgraded Nayada. That is to say that it would be hard to say about proper surveillance and identification of potential threats, bringing in armaments or diversion groups on the territory of Ukraine from the side of the Azov Sea. The Azov area currently has 6 shadow zones, as we call them, when it is not possible to track almost anything. And this is about, again, our dilapidated equipment like Goloturia radio location radar stations and other equipment that does not stand to the requirements of the day. It is also the importance to have state-of-the-art surveillance and border control systems which would allow us to promptly react to any potential threats from this direction. With a view of that, and acting on commission of the President of the National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine and the government of Ukraine, we've worked on the plan for setting up the section of the Ukrainian-Russian border that you, the media representatives, promptly tagged as the European wall. And also, given the relevance of surveillance and control problems in the Azov Sea area, also on the border with the occupied Crimea, we've designed a plan conveniently called the Maritime Price, and it is aimed at early detection of potential threats and possibilities of using this information for the overall surveillance and control system, both at sea and on land, at land borders. We try to learn from available international experience, looking into possibilities of attracting both domestic manufacturers and reputed international manufacturers capable of coming up with proposals on how to better mitigate threats in the Azov Sea area and in other parts of the Russian-Ukrainian border. It has been done with the view of providing better information about the ever-changing situation in different parts of the border, and together with our US and Israeli partners, we at some point in time designed an electronic surveillance system for the section of Ukrainian Moldovan borders, which included must heat-seeking surveillance systems, radars, etc. And the Transnistrian part of the border that at some point in time was quite active in times of smuggling and other illegal activities. It was kind of black box in our border, and after the implementation of the updated optical and electronic automated surveillance system, we've effectively resolved this Transnistrian border problem. We did investigate our experience of international producers in this regard, and we think that one of possible options in our case could be about using equipment and technologies that the US companies suggested to us. We worked together with them to elaborate potential options. Our specialists went there to check for the suggestions on site and at production facilities, and now we can conclude that the system can be efficiently and effectively used both at the Russian-Ukrainian border in terms of this European Wall project, as well as on the beachfront line of the Azov Sea, because the system is really easy to integrate into our national situational analysis system, and it can provide relevant information to both our border guards and to our Ministry of Infrastructure. I mean the information on maritime safety in such a complex region as the Azov Sea region is. Another reason to cope with the company is the proposal to shift at some point in future the production personnel training and maintenance and support activities to the territory of Ukraine, and we see it as one of the benefits of our solution, because the equipment currently operated on the Transnistrian region of the border, the use of Israeli and German-based equipment along the borderline shows certain limitations we have because of the lack of proper maintenance facilities there, and that has been one of the arguments we used while presenting our idea to the National Security and Defense Council and our other colleagues. So without stealing more time from you, I can conclude that we've made a sound solution, and we would really like our colleagues to support it. And it's time, I think, to give the floor to representatives of the Ukroboronprom company.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Vasily Nikolaevich was very precise and very abundant in details when he was talking about the challenges of the border service of Ukraine, and as to the solutions we are offering now, they are quite efficient. For you to understand the scale, Ukraine has nearly 7,000 kilometers of the borders, and 1,300 kilometers are the borders with the Russian Federation. So far, protection, defense of the border is one of our top priorities for us and for any country in the world. And the system which is going to be presented by Aerocraft company, so we have Ihor Pasternak speaking to us. I would like to say a couple of words about him. He is quite a name. A couple of days ago, there was a presentation of the book of 50 great inventions by Ukrainians, and one of those top 50 was Ihor. He's one of the top in this industry. He left Ukraine some 20 years ago, and now currently he wants to help defend his country, and he helped to realize, to implement the opportunities of his inventions. I'm happy to say that we have signed the memorandum with the company, the memorandum of joint actions about using those systems, and we given those materials to the border service of Ukraine, and that's what I want to say, that it is not a one-day, one-shot. It has been a long-term period. We worked a lot, and we had quite a review and analysis on behalf of our defense systems, that the decision that we need such systems, and we would be happy to use the systems manufactured by our American partners, and regardless of the difficulties related to buying such systems by Ukraine, the company is going to cooperate with us, and our research resulted that we need the transfer of the technology, that is the relocation of the manufacturing itself, and very soon the company will start the manufacturing here at one of the Ukroboronprom sites, and we're going to have the manufacturing here, localization of relocation of the manufacturing here, and it is very important for Ukraine, because manufacturing in Ukraine is very important in Ukraine, because it's jobs, it's budget proceeds, and the generated by our economy. It's in fact the second war we are waging now, that is economy wars. What we're fighting for the recovery of our economy. We're doing our best to boost up our economy. And here we have a fantastic synergy. We have the representatives of three different areas, three different activities, but they are working together for the best of Ukraine. Currently, I would like to inform you that we are having Ukrainian inventions as well, but because of the high scale of our challenge, the high scale of our task, we need to defend Ukraine in the air, on the sea, and here inland, and altogether we are solving the defense problem. And Ihor, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. Roman told you that I was there by chance, but first of all, thank you, Vasily, thank you, Roman. We're working together with many countries, we're doing similar system, but probably they are the best across. It is even more than being the professionals. It's enthusiasm that's very. Those are great clients, great customers. We can't say no to such customers as they are. I'm of Ukrainian origin. I'm from here. I followed closely the events when everything started, and when Ukrainians approached us with this asking to help us defend Ukrainian borders. We were happy. We have experience in doing such, in manufacturing such systems, and we are experts in adapting our system to match, to fit any sorts of the borders in such different locations like Caribbean area, like Asian areas, and here, and you know, there are very different kind of borders. Some borders are silent, so to say. Some borders have activities going on, and each borderline requires different approaches, and adjustments need to be done. And we were really excited. What I mean, for us, it's engineering challenge. Adjust, to modernize our complex to meet Ukrainian requirements, Ukrainian needs, was a challenge, and to assist Ukraine, as Roman and Vasil mentioned, it's the special challenge. We were happy to meet people from Ukraine. When they came to us, my employees said they knew more about our system than we do. They were very knowledgeable. We had a joke that they didn't sleep to know more about the systems, and we were really happy when Ukroboronprom suggested to consider the joint manufacturing in Ukraine. You know, one thing is to supply the complex, but the other thing is to adjust the complex and to be present in the country, to adapt our product to meet the requirement is very special. And what is more important, my dream has long been to start a small plant in Ukraine, and we are extremely happy, and we really appreciate both border service and Ukroboronprom, we appreciate their trust.
Thank you very much for your presentation. If any questions or requests for details to our guests. Vasily Vishnevetsky, the Crimean News. Could you give us more detail a bit about your complex, its operation, its features? I think let's the representative of the company explain. In a nutshell, it's a complex that kind of sees to the depth of more than 40 kilometers. It's a multifunctional radar and security systems in different modes that allow capturing and following at least 200 targets, providing information about their type, their behavior, and it's based on the moving target indication principle, which is more advanced technology than the standard Doppler one. It allows for identifying even a plastic drone attempting to get closer to the border. The radar system also includes a camera, and you can see this black box, which is a complex. It is filled with a variety of sensors to provide night vision capabilities, and it contains camera to focus on and lock on specific targets. That is, the radar gets the overall picture of the targets and their movements up to a period of, say, 1 week, and the camera gets more specific view of each identified and needed targets, to the effect that, say, in the Northern America, it may even provide information suitable for court suits, up to vehicle type, say, and license number. And there is an automatic data processing block to process information, to issue warnings, and there are several weeks periods when the information is logged and systematized. That is, it is not just a real-time monitoring and surveillance system, but it also provides for analytical capacities by showing which targets attempt to cross the border, what are the patterns of movements, which types of targets appear. And it allows not just cut and short border violation, but also to prepare well in advance by seeing who's approaching the border or what approaches it. And surely the information is also delivered to headquarters, to other central bodies, to relevant monitoring border groups, and this is all done in real time. This is just brief information. Thank you. Any more questions? A question to our American guests from the Defense Express magazine. The number of stations to be delivered, so the total price of the contracts, and what will be delivered to Ukraine when it will be transferred. I mean, the production and terms of execution. Let's split it in a number of questions. My colleagues will respond. As of today, we've elaborated our plan based on the so-called 2+6 model. That is, we are going to have 2 stations installed by the end of this year, and they will be included in the overall general system to control and survey border situation at sea and on land. The final price of the contract, it is being finalized. Now there are classified solutions and classified provisions that are still finalized by the Cabinet and the National Security and Defense Council. I will not disclose all of them, and you will surely understand. But at least we are going to have 2 stations installed this year and 6 in the next year. And my colleague will speak about technical details. Well, we've agreed on 3 levels and 3 stages of our relations. On the first stage, we are working on matters of transportation and delivery of necessary components. The first stage will also include assembly of the equipment and its installation on site. And what is also of paramount importance is adequate training of personnel to manage the equipment. And the second stage will deal with the starting of production of necessary components that are currently being shipped from the US. And the third phase will see localization efforts, as our American partner mentioned it, in order to replace some of the components with Ukrainian ones produced here whenever it is necessary, be it some load-bearing elements and other things that Ukraine can produce to reduce the overall cost of the system. The third stage will include transfer of technologies with maximum localization efforts here, and we have had discussions and negotiations on all the 3 phases. to discuss all necessary terms and conditions of our cooperation, and as my colleague Vasily Nikolaevich has already mentioned it, there is experience in Ukraine of operating German and Israeli stations, and we are convinced that they do need skilled personnel to operate and maintain. And I think that these three phases, particularly the second one, will allow us training our specialists and provide necessary services to our state border service. Next question, please. I represent Fakty newspaper. A question to you, Ihor. You mentioned some aircraft. What is it? What's about it? What type of fuel it uses? Well, actually, regional airway company started its operation with dirigibles, with heavier than air aircraft, and then we switched to sensing equipment and ultimately ended where you are now. And at the moment we are entirely focused on border surveillance and recognition systems. So did you like to know more about our initial production efforts? So if our latest developments, and speaking the system, the model actually we've described now, 2+6 model, we have systems that will be stationed on a high mast. We also have complexes that can be mounted to dirigible to provide better coverage of the territory, and I think all of you can understand why we are using exactly mast-based systems on certain parts of Russian-Ukrainian border. Maybe at a later stage we will use air balloons the way we are using them elsewhere. You can actually see this on our webpage. By speaking of air balloons, we mean actually helium balloons, able to climb 3,000 meters with relevant systems mounted and fixed to it. It can remain there for up to 90 days, and then it can be descended for maintenance and be relaunched again. And so the mast-based systems really have this 40-kilometer range, and with air balloons, helium balloons-based systems, it will be practically doubled. So at the first stage, it will be 100-meter high masts. Any other questions? Oleg Milnitsky, After Consulting QA. Judging from your words, your systems can be also mounted on some trucks or other means of transport. Do you have any mobile versions of it? Or do you have any versions of reconnaissance vehicles? And my second question goes to Mr. Romanov. Something similar we saw last year when Yuzhmash presented its design based on a truck. Okay, let's see it like this. The system you've seen, you cannot mount it on a truck or a vehicle because it is too powerful, and for a number of technical reasons you may not put it there. I did mention though that we can use dirigibles or air balloons for that purpose, as some components of the system and lighter versions can be installed on aircraft, on planes, say, but it is not really vehicle ready, road vehicle ready, because it is entirely different level of surveillance. Truck mounted systems mostly includes cameras with a vision range of 5 to 7 kilometers at its best. There is VAX type complexes like the one you probably know that are plane mounted, but actually they offer almost the similar array of functions, but with a lower, smaller radius. The UCMC system, first of all, you know that they're not members of the Ukroboronprom state concern. I don't know of the system or similar system they presented, but as Ihor has already mentioned, the system has a bit lesser vision capabilities, if we may put it like this. It is more suitable for mobile groups, reconnaissance groups on land, because of the limited distance in kilometers they can cover. Ukroboronprom is a bigger manufacturing conglomerate, and we implement objectives and tasks that our colleagues set for us, like the State Border Service, the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Defense, etc. That is, we are ready to react to the tasks we have been commissioned. Whenever we have this task of having mobile reconnaissance systems, then I can assure you that it will be entirely in our capacity in Ukroboronprom to provide these. Any questions?
My question is probably for you. Can this system operate under bad conditions at night, for example, under the phone? It's the unique feature of this system. It can always say it works under any condition, regardless whether it is day or night, fog, or anything. And it can rotate for 360 degrees, and the camera has infra sensors and other sensors. It can see underwater, it can see the submarine at certain depth, we can see what's going on above the clouds. So we are supplying such system to NATO. Thank you very much. We're finishing our conference, and if you have questions, you can ask them off records, and we hope that new systems will help to detect all the enemies and help us to protect ourselves from all sides. That was our last press briefing as of today, and you will see the schedule by the end of today.